All right, we're going to focus on this one right here. Remember the window position and size when you close and reopen the app for the next couple videos. There are a couple ways we can approach this. Let's move over to main.cpp. This is our the actual window that we see, and it's part of the document window. So we're going to look at the moved function first because it's one way that we could approach this. Let's take a look at the docs for this guy real quick. And for moved, it says called when this component's position has been changed, and this is relative to its parent changes, not the absolute. Blah 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 blah. If it's a top level window on the desktop, its position could also be changed by operating system's factors beyond the control. See also resized. This is called when the component's size has been changed. So these are two approaches that we could use to work on this. So let's investigate this using the moved and the resized functions first. So we'll put this above the close button. Let's get rid of these comments. Well, actually, that last comment is kind of important. Note, be careful if you override any document window methods. The base class uses a lot of them, so you might break its functionality. It's best to do all your work in your component, blah, 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 blah. If you really have to override any document methods, make sure your subclass also calls the superclass's method. So we'll do that here. We'll do void moved override. Whoops, not brackets. And then we will do static. Let's just see how many times this gets called whenever we drag this thing around. Int counter equals 0. Debug moved. Give me a space and then print out the counter value. And then call the base class document window moved. Let's check that out. Let's drag our window around and see what we get. All right. Okay, so it's moving a lot. What happens if we actually resize? Nothing. Okay. Let's do the resized one. Void resized override. We just have to remember to call document window resized at the end. We'll do the same counter thing right here. We'll just do this right there. Resized. Okay, so if we resize, we'll see a lot, but no move call like that. Okay. So one approach that we could use is to write some window position and size settings to disk every time the window is moved or resized. But as you can see, that would get really expensive really quickly. Every time we position some stuff, every time we reposition the window, it would do one of those calls to write it to disk. So let's not do that. That's a bad approach, right? But it's good that we investigated it, but it's clearly not the right way to go. All right, we know that resized and moved is a bad approach, so let's get rid of that. A smarter decision is to use a timer and just query if the window rectangle has changed at all. So let's do that. Let's go up here to our document window. Let's inherit from timer, public timer. And let's add a somewhat slow timer down here. Start timer maybe twice a second. Works for me. We need some bounds to check against. So we'll put that here. Let's do rectangle int, maybe just call it window bounds, something like that. It's not that serious. And then we need our timer callback. Void timer callback override. And in this timer callback, all we do is just compare if the screen bounds are different from the window bounds member. If so first we got to get those bounds. Auto bounds equals get screen bounds. Screen bounds, remember, returns the bounds of this component relative to the screen's top left. Okay, we want that guy. If window bounds does not equal screen bounds, if they're different, window bounds equals bounds. Then save it to disk. Now, since it's a timer class, since we got a timer running, we need to stop that timer. So let's do main window stop timer, because we started one here. It's pretty obvious we're going to save to disk from multiple functions, so let's refactor that step into a function all by itself. And we'll start by refactoring this chunk right here that gets the bounds and stuff. Let's turn that into its own thing. All right, so we'll just copy that. Let's add that as, make this a private function here. Void update bounds. Just paste it there. And let's see. Let's stub out our saving to disk function. Void save settings to disk. And then now we can call it here. Save settings to disk. And let's now call this update bounds in our timer callback. Update bounds. And now in our destructor, we can also call update bounds. Update bounds.